All right, let's get right into it. What we're talking about today isn't just a disease, it's a war, a conflict that's been raging between humanity and this tiny, microscopic parasite for literally thousands of years. This is the story of an ancient and incredibly cunning enemy, malaria. For centuries, we didn't even know what we were fighting, and the names we gave it, they really show just how confused we were. The Italians called it malaria, which means bad air, because they were convinced it just rose up from the disgusting fog of swamps. The French, they called it paludisma, which is Latin for the sickness of the marsh. They were looking right at the scene of the crime, but they had the completely wrong suspect.
And make no mistake, this ancient enemy is absolutely a clear and present danger. This isn't some historical relic we're talking about. In 2022 alone, malaria killed over 627,000 people. Most of them were young children. I mean, think about that for a second. That's like the entire population of a city like Boston. Gone. Every single year. The stakes in this war are being counted in human lives. Right now, today. So, how does this microscopic killer actually pull it off? Well, its life cycle is less like a disease and more like this incredibly elaborate two-stage heist. And the target is the human body. So let's break down its playbook. Okay, so the parasite's plan is just ruthlessly efficient. It all starts with the bite. That's when the first wave of invaders gets injected. But they don't attack right away. Oh no, they're smarter than that. They go dark. They sneak off to the liver and multiply in secret for up to 3 weeks. And then, bam, the real assault begins. Thousands of new parasites burst out and hijack our red blood cells. Inside those cells, they multiply again until they burst, releasing a whole new army to do it all over again and setting up the infection to spread to the next person. It's a terrifyingly effective strategy. And this quote just perfectly captures the stealth of the whole operation. The partner in crime, the female Anopheles mosquito, is the perfect accomplice. She works under the cover of darkness, usually between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. The bite itself is silent, it's painless. The victim almost never even knows the invasion has begun. So what does this highly coordinated, microscopic invasion actually feel like for the person whose body has just become a battlefield? Well, it's this brutal, terrifying cycle. A classic malaria attack hits in 3 distinct stages. It's a pattern so regular that the ancient Greek physician Hippocrates described it perfectly over 2,000 years ago. First, you get the chills, and I'm not talking about a little shiver. We're talking violent, body-rattling shaking that can last for hours. Then the fever hits you like a ton of bricks, spiking your temperature way into the danger zone. And finally, as the fever breaks, these drenching sweats just pour out of you, leaving you completely and utterly exhausted, only for the whole horrible cycle to start all over again a day or 2 later. And get this isn't random. That violent cycle of chills and fever, it's the direct result of the parasite's perfectly synchronized attack. Each one of those fever spikes is literally the sound of millions of your own red blood cells bursting open at the exact same time, releasing a brand new wave of invaders into your system.
But the story isn't all one-sided. For as long as this parasite has been attacking us, we have been fighting back. This is the story of our counterattack, a scientific detective story that has been unfolding for centuries.
This timeline really shows our long, slow climb to understanding. After Hippocrates figured out the symptoms, we were pretty much in the dark for 2,000 years. The first real breakthrough came in 1820, when chemists isolated quinine, giving us our first real weapon. Then, in 1880, we finally saw our enemy for the first time. Alphonse Lavron identified the parasite in human blood. Just 17 years after that, Ronald Ross unmasked its accomplice, proving the mosquito was the one spreading it. Each discovery built on the last, leading us all the way to 2U's Nobel Prize-winning work on artemisinin, which is our best weapon today. But here's the thing, this is not a static war. Just when we think we have the upper hand, the enemy changes the game. Just as we develop new weapons, our enemy evolves new defenses. The battlefield is constantly changing.
For a while, we thought we had a silver bullet, this wonder drug called chloroquine. It was cheap, it was effective, and it really seemed like a war-winning weapon. But our enemy, well, it's a master of adaptation. By the 1960s, the first reports of resistance started popping up in these isolated pockets around the globe. The parasite was learning.
And what started as just a few sparks quickly turned into a wildfire. By the 1980s, the parasite's defensive upgrade had spread across continents, making our best weapon more and more useless in the exact places that needed it the most. And that brings us to today.
By the turn of the millennium, this wasn't just some complication. It was a full-blown global crisis. The enemy had survived our best shot and had come back stronger, forcing us into this relentless, expensive scientific arms race just to keep from losing.
And this slide right here really sums up the state of the war today. On one hand, the fight is so far from over. Malaria is still deeply entrenched in 85 countries. But on the other hand, we have proof that total victory is actually possible. In 2019, Algeria, a country where the parasite was once everywhere, was officially declared malaria-free. So we know we can win. The question is how.
So we're left with this question. We're locked in this constant, high-stakes evolutionary race against a parasite that has plagued us since the dawn of civilization. It adapts to our drugs, it hides in our bodies, and it continues to kill. So as our ancient enemy keeps evolving, our science, our technology, and our global will, they all have to evolve even faster.